Next up, as we kind of tour the list of the various arrays in these videos, is the jagged array. Now the jagged array is a real interesting animal that you can do a lot of really cool things with. Now the jagged array is also known as an array of arrays because that is really what it is. If you want to think of it this way, it's a number of single dimension arrays in rows stacked on top of each other. That's a very loose description. But notice when you create one of these, we give it the data type. We put the two brackets that tells it that it is an array. And then we put another set of brackets that basically tells it it is an array of arrays. Then we give it the name. We're going to call it ML. We set it equal to a new instance of. We're going to store integers in it. This number 4 right here tells us that there's going to be 4 rows. So 4 rows down, if you want to think that way. And then this is basically the number of dimensions in each row that we'll store. And we'll see that in just a second. Now the way we'll actually code this and set it up is like this. This line is identical to this one. So we're telling it we want ML, a new array of integer arrays. It'll have 4 rows. Now, then we set ML0 or row 1 equal to instance new integer 6, which means there will be 6 indexes or 6 places in row 1. Then ML1, which is row 2, will have 4. ML2, which is row 3, will have 4. And ML3, which is row 4, will have 5. Now when we execute that, what's going to be created in memory looks like this. Now notice this is very similar to the two-dimensional array as far as the addressing. Now again, I want to remind you as you look at this, this data is not stored in these. I've just got this on the slide here so that you can see the addressing on these. So if you'll notice, row 1, which is row 0, has basically 6 locations for data. And if you come over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But since they've started at 0, that's 0, 0, 0, 1, and so forth. And it just works down. Now that's a jagged array. Now what's interesting about a jagged array is that it lets you have various rows of unequal amounts of data, because a lot of times the data that we store in each individual row is not always going to be neat and orderly and always have the same number of objects in each row. You've probably noticed life is a little like that. If you want to choose an array that shows the truest rendition of life, you got to go with a jagged array, okay? Because life can be pretty jagged sometimes. It's seldom very neat and tidy like we try to program it. So anyway, that's a jagged array. Now I'm not going to do a lot of work with it. I just wanted to kind of whet your appetite and let you see what a jagged array looks like so that you understand the differences. Because where we're headed next is we're going to start to talk about collections. And collections are a different type of array, more or less, that are preloaded for you that you can load yourself. And they're kind of tuned to help you a little bit. So anyway, we're just kind of paving the way for that. So again, we have a regular one-dimensional array, which is what the vast majority of people use. Then you have two-dimensional arrays, which looked just like this jagged array, except the rows and columns all were consistent. And then the jagged array, which can have varying lengths of the rows in the array. So anyway, there you go, introduction to jagged arrays. Go investigate these when you think you need these to help you out in getting your application to perform exactly the way you want it to.